What?
Just okay. So you said they were gonna do what to New York?
They were going to try to take over New York. Half of it was probably going to be bombed, and they were going to try to take it over.
And you saw this where?
It was incredible news. You would have to pull it up. I can probably pull it up right now.
Either way, keep telling me about it.
U.S. soldiers arrested for attempting to help ISIS conduct a deadly ambush on other U.S. troops. Tuesday, January 19th, 2021. So, 5 days ago. Yeah, luckily it was discovered, but basically they would have taken over New York. They wanted to bomb and take over not just the military bases, but the entire state. You're going to continue to see shit happen like this. I mean, it's no surprise. The military, I can't blame them for not liking Biden, because Biden was one of the reasons why pay was withheld from soldiers under Obama's administration. Which, if you don't know about that, for a while the military wasn't paying its soldiers. They would withhold pay from people who were on deployments and things like that overseas and not give them their money, not do anything. And it's really difficult for you to want to fight for your country or do anything for anyone when they're not even treating you right, they're not giving you anything, they're not even giving you the little money that you agreed to work for while you're literally sacrificing your life. I mean, it's craziness, which is why anybody who votes Democrat without knowing any actual facts, like if you don't know the mission statement for Biden and you don't know Biden's history, right? You shouldn't be voting for Biden. Which he says basically he wants to lower taxes, he wants to do all these things, BLM, all this other stuff. In the 90s, barely 20 years ago now, in the 90s, he was literally fighting for segregation of schools and saying that he didn't want his kids going to school in a jungle. He wanted segregation, he wanted it black and white, he wanted Jim Crow laws back, basically. He wanted everybody separated. And even before that, he's been fighting for segregation, he's been fighting for racism since before most of us were born. And even though there's clips, there's video evidence of him saying this on national television, on all of these platforms, we aren't willing to look at it because we're so brainwashed into believing one narrative that no one's going to look at anything else. Like, you go back and you look at Trump, right? And Trump used to be the only business owner who would, he was the only millionaire that would donate to black businesses back in, this is back in, I want to say, 70s or 80s. He was the only millionaire that was willing to donate to black businesses and help them start businesses, help them start careers and get things off the ground. He was the only one. He was also the only one who helped out with housing development and charged them cheaper rent, and didn't raise prices on them at random. Was he guilty of raising prices on rent and stuff like that? Yeah. But he wasn't doing it intentionally based on race. He did it based on everyone, whereas when you have the economy, that's just something that you have to expect, because if everybody's making more money, you're going to charge them more to live there. It's only what makes sense. People don't really understand the way that the world works, and it's crazy, because we have all this access to information, and we only believe whatever's surface level. It's kind of like the old saying, "What have you done for me lately?" Which is complete and utter garbage. Because if you only go by what somebody did within the last year, we're going to ignore the fact that Trump had the lowest unemployment rate of any president for pretty much every year of his presidency until the last year, when not the Republicans, not Trump, but the Democratic side shut down the entire country. And then miraculously, as soon as Biden takes office, right, he says, "Oh, well, I don't actually have a plan. We're just going to have to learn how to live with it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reopen everything. We're going to open up all the businesses, and everybody's just going to have to go back to work," right? Which is what Trump wanted to do to begin with. That was what his speech was on, was that we can't live in fear. Right now we're just being fear-mongered about something that isn't as bad of an issue as we say that it is. Because if you look at flu statistics, right, just as many people died from the flu in previous years, and we didn't blow it up this big. Do people get sick? Yeah, people get sick, people die. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm not saying that we shouldn't fight. I'm not saying we shouldn't take precautions. But we shouldn't shut down everything and fearmonger either. You look at other countries, right? And you look at like the third world countries. How did third world countries not suffer nearly as bad when they have less medicine, they have less of an immune system, they have less access to food, and they didn't suffer nearly as bad as the US or any other country, right? The US suffered the worst. Even in places where they were wearing the mask in other places, right? The US suffered the worst. But it's funny because the places that didn't wear their mask, didn't care about the rules, didn't care about any of that inside of the US, those were the places where there were not many deaths, there was not much of anything. Because what are you going to do? You're going to try and intentionally infect them, and then they're just not going to go to work because they're smart and they're like, hey, I'm sick, I don't want to get anybody else sick, so they stay home. And that's all it really takes. It takes us to band together and do something about it, which we have no unity inside of the US. We spend more time arguing about race. Now we argue about, oh, they can't have them kind of braids because, you know, that black people started that and all this other crap. Like, I'm sorry, what? Do you know how many people had braids throughout history? Because braids is just a way to get out of the hair. To get hair out of the way. Like, whenever I want my hair braided, I want my hair braided because my hair gets fucking long. Like, if my hair's wet, it literally comes down over my eyes. I can't see, I can't drive. That's the only time I want my hair braided. I want it braided so that this is no longer here, and it's here, so I can actually do things. It's the same thing as a ponytail, right? It's the same thing as anything else. You want it out of the way. But people don't use logic like that. They don't use thinking. They don't use any of that. We live in an age where, despite how much access to information we have, we would rather blow up small issues that are insignificant and don't matter. Racism and things like that, I acknowledge that it's an issue, but it's not nearly as big of an issue as people think that it is. You want to know what's an issue? Overreach of the police department. I think that's an issue. And it's not just something that affects the black community disproportionately, it affects everybody. Mexicans and Latinos don't get shot. There was an innocent white girl who got shot a few days ago, where she was just getting out of her car and she got lit up by police. It's not only one race, it's not only one people, it's not only one demographic that's affected by this. It's everything. But you have people that are gaslighting us into believing whatever it is that they want, and everybody's gonna blindly follow whoever's holding this fucking candle. Do we have a corrupt police department? Sure. I wholeheartedly follow the narrative that we have a corrupt police department. What about the people who, over the years, multiple times have been killed because of situations like, can't think of his name, but he was an ex-Marine, and he had said, hey, I noticed that the traffic lights in poverty-stricken areas, or people who aren't making as much money as the wealthy, they go from yellow to red 2 seconds faster than the other ones, so that they can charge them with more traffic tickets. And he bought it up, and he made it a huge thing. He posted it all over Facebook, and then a few weeks later, the police department ended up killing him for that. And they said that it wasn't the police department or anything, but you can go back and you can listen to the audio footage. He posted up videos of him that he took of the stoplights, videos of police officers and people inside of the police department stalking his house, people like using radar scans to like view inside and look at his heat signature and see if he was home and stuff like that. His house was broken into several times while he wasn't there. He was left terrible messages of people like threatening him and stuff like that. And we're not, he wasn't black, he was white. It's, people don't get that like corruption runs beyond just race. People aren't just going to be corrupt to you because like, oh, you're black, you know. Some people are, but there's not a game strong enough to do that, you know. Basically it's, hey, how about we rip these motherfuckers off? Like, when you think of a dope fiend, right, usually you picture just somebody completely strung out, right? Whether it's black or white. That's the way that we need to think about things. It doesn't matter what skin color they are. They got addicted to something, and now they want more. And you're willing to kill them for it. It's like, if the police department can get you over on tickets, and they're doing it legally, they're going to continue to illegally get you over on tickets. And if you say something, they're going to silence you, or they're going to make you look like an idiot. They're going to gaslight you. So it's people not really understanding the value that we have. Like, if all of the U.S. decides to get up and we go storm, like, let's say we take over the Senate, right? The Senate no longer has power because we're not going to give it power over us. If we don't listen to your decision, like if everybody decides the drinking age is no longer 18, it's 15, and if you try and stop us, we're going to shoot you, right? So we go and we raid the police departments and we raid the Capitol. The people have then taken back power. The people are now back in control, which is the way that government is supposed to be run. It's supposed to be run by the people, not the greedy, not the people who want something from you. It's supposed to be run for the betterment of society, right? Like, is making weed illegal for the betterment of society? No. Weed calms people down. Do I think that people should be smoking it? No. But that's my personal opinion. You know, that's not going to affect or change anything. People can smoke weed because is it as bad as alcohol or anything else? Hell no. It's legions better. It's way ahead statistically. Like, you don't see potheads running around killing people or doing anything else. You see them sometimes get in accidents. You'll see them do some stupid stuff sometimes. But you don't see it nearly as bad as, like, we have active knowledge knowing that alcohol can drive people into abuse or drive you to kill yourself because it destroys your liver. But we made that legal, right? And then we have active proof that cigarettes, you know, full of nicotine and everything else, causes tar to invade your lungs and cover up your lungs until you can no longer breathe, right? Because it doesn't leave your body. And we legalize that, right? But weed, which, you know, doesn't have as many adverse side effects or ways of killing you or you killing someone else, we're going to make that illegal, not for any reason other than we can't profit off of it. So if people want something to change, people have to get together and they have to make the change. The government is not the sole person in charge of everything. They have power because we as people agree that they have power. We as people have more power than they do. We have more guns than they do. The military is ran by people. Those people have families that are with us. They're not with the government. So it really just comes down to, are you tired of tyranny? Because if you're tired of tyranny, the change is simple. Once enough people are tired of something, they can all actively go out and change it. It's called revolution. But I don't know. Whenever you hear that word, you're going to think, oh, well, you know, we're going to have to blow some shit up. We're going to have to do some stuff. No, you don't have to blow anything up. If everybody, as human beings, as people, says, hey, you're going to do this for us, or the government no longer has power and we're not going to listen to you, and if police officers try to stop us, we're not going to pay you any money, we're not going to do anything. And what are you going to do if police officers, what are you going to do if people try to, if two police officers come to evict somebody, right, and the whole block comes out with a fucking shotgun and they're ready to blast the police, what are they going to do? Are they still going to go forward with the eviction? No, you can't go forward with the eviction. They're going to blast you where you stand.
Right.
So it's a thinking game. It's, why do we let this happen to us? Like, my people suffer because they are ignorant. And when I say my people, I just mean humans. I don't mean black people, I don't mean white people, I don't mean any demographic. I mean my people, my fellow American citizens, suffer because they are ignorant and they refuse to come together and do something as a whole. We can't unite on any front, and part of it is because we believe in this two-party system where it's like Democrat versus Republican. People are saying we need a third party, stuff like that. We don't need any party. We need someone who's going to run things based on the betterment of people. I don't care if you believe in birthday sex. If you're just gonna like jump on stage and you're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna lower taxes, we're gonna use our money to do this, we're gonna make sure that we don't interfere with these countries and start a conflict with them, stuff like that. You know, like I don't know how to run the country, but I damn sure know Biden doesn't. So I know what I want in my leader. I know who I want pushing my agendas. I know enough to know what's good and what's bad. I also know enough to know that other people are completely ignorant and haven't done their research to know that information either. So.
And that's just your message to America, or to your fellow American.
That's my message to people in general. Not even just American, but everywhere, right? What's going to happen if your government or your military, what happens if they have no citizens? If they just kill all of you and you're left with just a military, you are now just a military power that can be easily overran because you have no citizens. You have no people, you have no one that you can have to produce children, nothing. Even if they were to start killing you, that means that you are now perceived as a threat to them. You shouldn't take that lightly. That means that they are afraid of you. If they weren't afraid of you, they would ignore you. Are you coming out with them with guns? No. You're telling them, we no longer agree that you have power, and if you're going to do something about it and you're going to shoot at us, we're going to fight back. And in the U.S. is one of the few places that we can do that. We can say we're going to fight back, and we can have a bunch of veterans, we can have a bunch of whatever the hell, and we can get together and we can come up with something. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's a people game. It's loving other people, love thy neighbor more than you just love yourself or love anything else. People want to talk about peace. They want to preach all of these things that just don't make sense. Peace is not bad. Peace is a good thing. But to say, oh, if somebody is robbing your house, you shouldn't be allowed to shoot them because that means you care about your property more than you care about their life. If they're trying to rob me, clearly they care about my property more than they care about their life. If you don't put my $2,000 computer down, your brains are going to paint the walls of my house, and I'm going to make the beaches of Normandy look like a kid's land. Stop. I'm going to make sure that what the Vikings did looks like child's play. Don't test me. That's what that means. It means if you break into my house and you have any sort of ill intention, I'm going to kill you, and I'm not going to be sorry about it. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to hide your body. I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to call the police and tell them to come pick up the body. Because you tried to rob me. Did you get what you deserved? Yes.
I feel that.